All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about IULs. We're going to do a deep dive on them as opposed to just, explaining what it is. There's certain things I think are important to understand about this product suite. Even though it says Thursday, May 14th, it's not. But what we'll do is we'll kind of go through some of the main talking points here about how it works, like index crediting, caps, pars, floors, and spreads. So what makes these products tick? How AG49 compliance has really regulated the system. Talk about best use cases, and then if we have some time, I'll walk through a live case design so you can see different ways that the IUL can be illustrated. So if there are any questions, what I would say is that put them in the chat or use the emoji to raise your hand. So I only have one monitor, so I'm reducing the video or like the people. I can't see anyone. I'll put it that way. So if you have a question, use the chat function or once again, just use a little raise hand thing. So, all right. So when we talk about index crediting and how it works, there's several ways that people look at these type of products and how they work. It can fall into a couple different categories depending on the type of product that you are selling, or focusing on. Some will do cap rates, some will do par rates. Spread or margin is hardly ever seen. So we'll just spend a couple minutes here kind of talking about these and how they work. And typically, what I like to tell people is when you look at the setup for how these are even calculated, most people, when they think about indexing and how it works, is they are putting their money into the S&P 500. That is not accurate. You're not putting your money in the market. You are mirroring the market. And so what they do is they take a data point. So for example's sake, today is May 28th. That is your first data point. So May 28th. So we'll just say 5/28, really bad drawing, 26. So then we look at the data point from next year. I'll just say 27. So that way I'm not drawing. But you see here, it is a point to point strategy. We don't care what happens in the market, anywhere in between. All we care about is the data point at the start and at the finish. Everything in between does not matter. Okay. So that's the initial staging for how these work. You want to make sure that as you talk about these, again, you're not telling people that it's going to be better than stock market performance because there's going to be years where it won't. There'll be years where it will. It just depends on the situation. But in this scenario, what you'll see is that you have the benefit of zero is the hero. Okay, so the 0% floor, zero is the hero. You have the opportunity to not lose any money in these type of products. And the benefit for that is like, a lot of people will point to 2008 when the stock market just crumbled at the housing market crisis and people lost like 38%. Well, if you're in a zero, you wouldn't lose anything. So that is one of the big perks on what they talk about with IULs is the 0% floor. Now, if we look at the differences here, though, with a cap rate and a par rate, a lot of people will say, well, which one is better? So if we use an example and say, for example's sake, today, May 28th, 2026 to May 28th, 2027, the stock market does a 20% return. Well, in a cap rate, let's say my cap is 10%. And if the index gains, in this example, 18%, or in mine, it was 20%, I get a total credit of 10%. And some people will say, well, that's ridiculous. I should get the full 20%. But again, if they get a negative 20%, they get a zero. So you get some of the upside or participate in the upside while also protecting the downside. Okay, so once again, there's perks of this. Now, if for example's sake, in this cap rate, once again, using the example of 10%, let's say there was an 8% return. Well, the client would get 8% credited to their account. So that is where you'll see you'll get the full credit because it's lower than the cap. You can't go any higher than the cap. Now, if we take, for example's sake, the participation rate, you'll see 80 to 100% here. Now, same scenario. Well, let's use a scenario first. Percentage of index gain credit, 80% of par. Let's say it was a 15% gain, you'd have a 12% return because 80% times 15% is 12%. Now, let's take my example. In that market where you had a 20% gain, you would get 12%, or you would get 80% of that 20% gain, giving you, what is that, 16%? I think the math is right. But on the flip side is if there was a 10% return on the 80% par, you would get 8% in your account, whereas over here, a 10% return, you would get 10%. So typically what you would say is that, pars and caps, pretty steady Eddie. You can kind of understand where you're going. The caps, excuse me, I think I said that right. Cap rates, it's pretty steady Eddie. You know where you're going to kind of land. Par rates, you have an unknown. It could be higher, it could be lower, depending on the type of returns. And you can segment your index strategies inside your portfolio because they usually have a par and a cap rate strategy. What you typically don't see is these spreads or margins. So what you'll see here is the amount subtracted from index gain before crediting, say 3% on a 10%, you get 7%. So you'll see some carriers, they'll have like this little graph here, and they'll say, the first 3% is ours. Or they might give the first 3% to the client, then the next 4% the company keeps, and then the client gets everything after that. So Raphael asks, I can have both cap and par rates. The answer is yes, but you can't have all of your funds in there. So if I had, say, $10,000 and I did a 50-50, then 5,000 would go over here and then 5,000 would go over here. And we would just, diversify. So yes, you can, but you can't have both. You can't have all your accounts in both at the same time. You're segmenting money to each of them. So, so back over here with the spread or the margin, basically the carrier, you'd have to look at how they have their components set up to the extent of if they give some credit before or if they take the first 3% and then give you uncapped after that. That's the idea of how a spread or a margin works inside of the Index Universal Life chassis. So these are the common two. My word of advice would be as you do this, you'll probably want to focus more on the S&P 500. I've been a big fan of the S&P 500 only because it is tried and true. Now NASDAQ is starting to pop up more and more. I've seen it in Symetra. I believe Corebridge is about to get it as well, among other carriers. So again, a reputable exchange is being visible to mirror against in this opportunity with downside protection. I can't complain to that. I think that's a good story. So NASDAQ, S&P, any of the major ones, these ones that are coming from like PIMCO, Bloomberg, Putnam, all of those are just garbage. I mean, they'll do well in certain scenarios, but it's a 9 times out of 10 it won't. So I typically stay away from those and I focus on the indexes that have been around for, like at least 30 years, 90 years really. So just kind of use that for example's sake. So any other questions on that? Does that make sense? This is typically how crediting works. I don't see any in the chat. No one's raising their hand. What I will say too is, as this is designed and how the product works, I also recommend just kind of keeping tabs on the crediting rates of the companies. There are several companies that will start out with higher crediting rates and then reduce them for their in-force block. That's why I'm very selective on which IUL carriers I pick because these are long-term strategies, not short-term. So the question came up, we can change the cap every anniversary. You can't change the cap, but you can change the index strategy. So if I was in a par rate and I didn't like it, I wanted to go to a cap rate, I can do that. But the carrier dictates the pars and caps every year. So if, for example's sake, I had a cap of 10% right now, and then the carrier says next year, you know what, we had good options returns. So we're going to increase the cap to 11%. Your new monies will be an 11% point to point strategy opportunity as opposed to a 10, or vice versa. It can go down. So these pars and caps can change. That's again why I say have stick with the carriers that have credibility to keep their crediting rates high because these are long-term promises we're giving to our customers. And I think that's important to understand. So illustrations, and I'll tell you guys right now. So I used to sell whole life with MetLife, and I was a big proponent against IULs. I really hated the way IULs were set up in about 2010, 11, 12 timeframe. They were running illustrations at 13 or 14%. So someone would take an IUL and they would put 10 grand in for 10 years and then take out like $1 million a year for the rest of their lives and have an increasing death benefit. It was absolutely ridiculous. So in come the rules and the compliance. So there's been several iterations to the IUL. There was AG49. There was a 7702, not the tax code, not the long-term care code. It was a code for changing up the insurance rules on how much money you could stuff into IULs. Matter of fact, you could put more into smaller death benefits after that. But the AG49 and AG49A revised has helped taper and temper the things that you see on the screen. So the max illustrated crediting rates on indexes historical performance, you can't illustrate higher than 10%. Indexes really are illustrating at current rates. So if you sold an illustration at 7% and the current rates are showing at 6%, your in-force will show at 6%. Doesn't mean that the policy is bad. You just have to kind of abide by what the carrier is going to give you. It is a little funky when you're trying to run in-force illustrations with current illustration rates on something you sold with old ones, but we can't change that. The carrier won't change that either due to restrictions. Multipliers and bonuses. That was the big reason why AG49 came about. So PacLife, you saw the Kyle Busch story, and I'm not here to talk about Kyle Busch, but the reason why Kyle Busch was suing, same reason why other people have sued in the past, is PacLife had a product called the PDX, and that product actually had built-in multipliers, which had an asset fee. So if I had a 10% participation rate, but if I opted to pay 95 basis points on my cash value to give me a 12% participation rate, that's what they were doing. They were charging an asset fee to give people a higher potential upside, but every year, depending on how the product worked, they were still getting charged. And so AG49 changed that to say that you can't show bonus multipliers as the initial design because most people, when they run IULs, are brand new or not too savvy in the industry that they just run the carrier's basic design. And so when you run the carrier's basic design, typically what happens is if they had multipliers in, the agents are ignorant, they don't know what they're illustrating, and then they just illustrate it. So now the multipliers were taken off, And if you want to illustrate them, you have to elect to actually put them on. What it does, it takes the onus off the company and puts it on the agent in case of lawsuits. Just remember that. Um, and and it really helped temper the expectations of the customer. Less unrealistic designs. Well, then you had some carriers who decided that they were going to put um, some opportunities inside of a bonus structure. So much like you have these multipliers, they changed it and put it on bonuses. North American was notorious for this in their Builder Plus 3. There were several articles on how that was designed, and one guy said it was like bringing a bazooka to a knife fight because they had literally so many different charges inside or guaranteed bonuses that can reduce, but the charges are still there. So those have been restricted or removed with the AG49A. So there's been a lot of changes to really enhance the story of IULs, simplify the process, but it still comes back to the fact that we as agents typically end up trying to overemphasize it. Okay. And that's usually because most people only have the IUL as a income driver, that and annuities. And so they'll try and over explain IULs that they can beat a 401k. You shouldn't put money into a 401k because you can put it all into IUL, get tax free money and all this other stuff, which is a load of malarkey. You should look at an IUL as an additional supplement to help you retire if you're going to do the cash type accumulation plans, but it should not be your end all be all. You should have some focus on a 401k, Roth, if you can get money into a Roth, then this as well to really balance out the portfolio. I can't stress that enough. So, best case scenarios, when you have clients who are 35 to 45, maybe even 50 or above, like 55 max, they're already maxing out their 401ks. Okay, they're not just putting some money into the 401ks, they're maxing it out, so they're making six figures a year. Have the ability to overfund an IUL to the MEC limits or the minimum face no MEC to give them a supplement or addition to their retirement, giving them tax-free income. So that is a supplement, and I overemphasize the word supplement, not your everything from that standpoint. Um, Kathy asks, can you elaborate on 49A? That's just a ruling that governed how you can illustrate IULs. So it is the removal of bonuses as a primary feature on the IUL illustrations when you run them, as well as these enhanced credit bonuses on certain index strategies. So like North American would give a bonus of 3% on their Fidelity account, but they were also charging you 1.25%, which was guaranteed. The bonus was not guaranteed. And so the Fidelity account, which has done horrible, you get a bonus on that, but they have every point in time where they can reduce or restrict or eliminate the bonus completely. The highest or the lowest it can go is 25 basis points. So there's things that people can do to hurt uh, the way the customer sees it, from an illustration standpoint. So 49A, AG 49A is the ruling to fix those things. That's all it is. If you want to go real deep into it, you can use ChatGPT, and kind of, dive in further with that. So tax-free retirement, then you have death benefit focus. Now, back in the day, people would use guaranteed universal life as a way to fund for estate planning and things like that. But guaranteed universal life, in my opinion, is no longer a product that really should be sold. GULs have higher cost. There's not cash growth or accumulation inside of them. And you have IULs now that can provide lower premium than a GUL. You can get a fully guaranteed GIUL, and And as producers, you also make more, so the client wins on less premium, same guarantees, cash value, and you make more. So I don't understand why people still sell GULs at this point in time. It makes no sense. It's a win for everybody. Reason why the carriers like those more than GULs is because if there's money tied to an index, it reduces their net amount at risk. So the cash value inside reduces their net amount at risk. So it helps out the organization as well. So there's a win for everybody. Um, and then you look at the far right, the executive benefit, like LTC conversation. So that's actually two, but I didn't want to put three tier or four tiers in here. Business owners, if you think about it, business owners and people in the death benefit focused IUL, instead of buying a standalone long-term care policy, you can typically add long-term care type riders to the policies, whether built-in living benefits or adding a pay-for chronic or long-term care rider, chronic illness or long-term care rider on the permanent policies, which give you dollar for dollar reduction. So it's a different way to run the illustrations. It's a different type of concept. So if you think about far left, the LERP strategy, you're looking at younger ages, and please, please, please do not do a LERP at like $100 a month, $50 a month. The minimum you should be doing is like 300 to 500. The older you get, the higher the number because you have a shorter horizon to get to retirement and you have to overcome costs of insurance in the first, 7 to 10 years. So please don't show someone a $50 a month LERP plan. I beg you. You can do a Roth, for at least $100 a month. So don't do anything different. Um, but again, sorry. So 35, let's say up to 55 max for that. Death benefit focus, you'd be looking between 40 to 70, maybe even 80. The same would be the LTC type conversation using IULs. So that would be kind of your sweet spot for these type of products. And if you have someone younger who's just crushing it and doesn't need just term insurance, then great conversation for permanent too. And there's a question. Oh, great advice. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. So here's just a case design. This is very, very, very generic. So Michael, 38 years old, standard non tobacco, makes 120 a year. He wants to retire by 65. And so he puts $1,000 a month in premium in Q's Corebridge, North American. Their builder four, I like, not their three. Columbus, another good one, Symetra. So we have a lot of good carriers. But if we even reduce the illustration rate to 6%, it also tempers the expectation. But if we look at an income period of 25 years, the client is pulling $52,000 a year in tax-free income. Death benefit year one is 1.25 mil. And, by 65, we reduce the face amount to give them, not restrictions, less cost of insurance when we stop funding it at 65. So there's opportunities for you to grow your money tax free. Disregard the 0% scenario. I have to remove that because that will stop after like 3 years. But 52,000 a year by putting 12,000 in per year is a great story for tax free income. Yeah, Symetra is another good company, Angel and Columbus Life. Columbus is the sister of Lafayette. So Lafayette is whole life. Columbus is the IUL, all part of the Western and Southern brand. And the reason why I like them is they give just the S&P 500. So it's a cleaner product in my opinion. So what we say is, so key producer takeaways. With every IUL conversation, we have the floor. Clients love to know they're not going to lose money to market performance. Now they are going to lose money to cost of insurance, but that is the price of life insurance, right? So when you think about where people can put money in, A 401k is a chassis to put money into to let it grow. A IRA is a chassis where you can put money in to let it grow. Both of those have taxes. An IUL, you can put your money to grow as well. It's a chassis where you can put life insurance, you can put money into that can grow. You're just paying for costs of insurance as opposed to taxes. So it's a conversation of taxation versus cost of insurance. I wouldn't run these three scenarios are built in anyway on the carrier illustration, but you want to make sure you have the crediting strategy that matches the client's goal, income focus or death benefit focus. There are different types of products per carrier. Like Corebridge has a protection product called the Value Plus Protector. They also have an accumulation product, so it's the QOL Max Accumulator. North American Builder Plus Two, and then they have or Builder Plus Four, and their Builder Protection Two. So if you look at the terminology inside the illustrations, you'll see that they have distinct takeaways depending on the product. And so these are just some carrier overviews. I'm going to skip that for right now and kind of go to the board, if you will, to run an illustration, just so you can kind of see the difference between the two. We're going to look at it from this standpoint. Okay. And how you run illustrations. So what I'll do is I will run one from an accumulation side, and then I'll run it from the protection side. I'll just use QOL because I know it like the back of my hand. I know them all, it's right there. So QOL Max Accumulator 3, I'll hit Create Client. Okay. And let's just say we have good old Phil Resch, who is 40. And I'm going to pretend I'm preferred today, and I live in Tennessee. Okay, real basic info. I'll zoom in a little bit too so it's easier to see. And here we do solve for. Okay, so anytime we run an illustration, you should know one of two variables, and you're trying to solve for the other variable. The first one, which is this product is an accumulation product. I should know how much my client wants to put in on a monthly or annual basis. And I'm solving for the death benefit. Okay. And in this scenario, I'm solving for the least amount of death benefit. So I have to solve for face amount because I know my premium. Face amount solve, and I want to solve for the least amount because I'm trying to get income out of this. I feel Resch. I'm going to do $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. So I'll just do it per year. I'm going to click on this little calendar, which will open up the opportunity to stop. So I'm at age 40 and say I want to do this just for 20 years. So I click off it and then I double click here and just put it to 0 and then click off of it. So now I have a 20 pay. Least amount of death benefit. I'm trying to stuff as much cash as possible in here. And ironically, they've all changed most of their illustrations to the S&Ps. Most carriers have done that at this point. I guess people have spoke loudly enough against the participations of these other indexes. Oh, no problem, Kathy. So here we have the index strategy. If you want to be more conservative, you can reduce this down to 6% or something like that. 6.94, in my opinion, is okay. The S&P averages long term anywhere from 8 to 10%. So I'm okay with 7. Disbursements, we'll come back to this in just a sec. I want to make sure that the policy options are set up. You want to have your funding increasing when you're doing this type of design, minimum, no MIC. You want to have the policy increasing. Why? You stuff more money into a smaller policy. So I'm going to do that for 20 years because I'm funding for 20 years. Double click here, change it to level, and now I have my funding strategy for an income sale. If I want to see money coming out as a hypothetical, once again, this is not gospel, this is a hypothetical. I'm going to click on the calendar. And here I want to do age. So till 64, I'm going to take nothing out. And from 65 to let's say 89, it's 25 years. I'm going to do solve for max. Now everything is done here. Plain vanilla setup. and I would hit calculate. What this will do again is this will solve for the least amount of death benefit. It'll come up with some funky number, probably like 176,000 and some change. I don't know. I'm guessing. But if the client wants to put a little bit more death benefit in case they want to add more cash to it later, we have the option to finagle it and change death benefit around. What we're doing in this design is we're trying to figure out the least amount of death benefit possible to stuff the most amount of cash in it. Why 65 to 89? That's 25 years of income, Angel. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to find a hypothetical time frame of how much money I'm going to take out over a 25-year period. Most people's retirement is not that long, so we like to go a little bit beyond just to say, hey, we have comfortability here. So I'm going to skip down to what I call the money page, where the illustration is set up. You'll see again 211,917 is the face amount, and 12,000 is going in per year. And like I said, the reason why you don't want to do small numbers is you have to overcome costs of insurance. The beginning years, I like to say, belongs to the company. It is building the product. It is fostering the cost of insurance. It's recouping a loss because the carriers actually lose money with every product they sell. So it's a long-term play for them. But you'll notice here you put 120 in, and you've gotten more than 139 based on a 6.94% rate of return. So we continue here. I stopped at year 20, 240,000 in. And on the right-hand side, 65, we're going to start taking income at about $56,000 per year. So in the first 5 years, I've recouped everything I put in over 20 years, doubled it, and we continue to go on where I've put in 240,000. I've taken out $1.4 million in tax-free income. And if I died the next day, I still have almost $400,000 that I would give to my next of kin. So when you look at it, it's a long-term play, not a short-term play. It does take time to build. You want to do it for at least more than 10 years. It can be better than a 401k, but what I would say is it would help supplement because if I, Phil Resch, am making, two, $300,000 a year, I want to get some tax deductions today too. So let's say, for example's sake, the market was doing very, very well, and I wanted my money to continue in the market. So I pull more money out of my IUL, and then the market's doing poorly. I want to recoup. Uh, excuse me, the market is doing poorly, so I want to pull money out of here. And then if it's doing well, I can pull it out of there. You can mix and match depending on the design. And what it does is it mitigates taxes because this is tax-free income. That would be taxable income. So depending on the nature of what the client's looking for, we can solve and figure out what makes sense for them. So this is again just an example. These are typically designed for people who make more. If you have someone who wants to put away for retirement and can qualify for a Roth, say they only want to put in $100 or $200 a month, then we can use National Life Group's annuity for that, which has no fees. It's just an annuity, so there's no cost of insurance or anything, and it can grow tax-free too. But this would be for someone who needs to supercharge a Roth. They can't qualify for a Roth anymore, things like that. So that's where this comes into play. Okay, so that is an accumulation design. Let's flip the script and let's see what questions we have first. If you leave the company for your 401k, you can take it with you. So one of the things, if you had a 401k, what I would say is that you have the opportunity to carry it with you to either another company or what I always like to say is we could look at a review to see if an annuity makes sense for a 401k if they're moving to another company. especially because of fees. So yeah, definitely the 401k, there's different options. Um, but yeah, so it just, and that's why I say, like, I've been doing this for 20 years. Every client is different. Every scenario is different. Um, um, you can take a 401k. You can't take it to yourself. You have to roll it to another qualified event. So if I had a 401k, I can move it to an IRA. It's a pre-tax to pre-tax product. I can't take a 401k and move it to an IUL or my bank account if I'm under the age of 59 and a half because I'll get taxes and a 10% penalty. So yeah, we can reposition it to a different asset. Annuities are either pre-tax or post-tax. Um, I don't know anyone who says that you lose it if you leave a company. Typically, the company will tell you you have to take it. Otherwise, you're going to get charged fees for it. So whoever told you that is wrong. You don't lose your money. You just move it. Um, so yes, Kathy, I would say you want it to sit for at least 10 years. Um, you can fund it for 5 for sure, especially if you're super funding it, like those golden handcuffs, type of design. And then, but you want to make sure you have it in there for at least 10. You can take it earlier, but you'll have surrender charges. It just won't look as good. So, and like I said, every client is different. So if we flip the script here and we talk about the protection side, okay. So we'll use the same Phil Resch again, but now let's just say I'm 50. Okay, we'll still pretend I'm preferred because a girl can dream. Tennessee resident. Now, in this scenario, this is a protection product. I don't care about using this for guaranteed income. I care about the death benefit. So the death benefit is the major focus. So once again, I have 2 variables. One variable is funding, the other variable is death benefit. I don't know what the funding is. I care about the death benefit. So solve for premium. Let's say I want $1 million death benefit and I want to solve. I want the computer to do all the work for me. I don't want to do a no solve where I have to enter in a bunch of numbers and hope for the best. I want the computer to do the work for me. This says that I will have $1,000 by age 121. That means that my policy should last based on the index strategy here at 6.22, with the premium I'm solving for paying all years to 121. Well, I don't think I'm going to live that long, so I want to save a little money. I want my policy to last till 105. You can adjust it when you want the death benefit to last till. So in this scenario, I also don't want to pay the rest of my life, but I will show you an example of $1 million all pay, which you see years to pay, all pay. And then I will show you a 20 pay. For someone who is 50, a 20 pay might make more sense, and we'll see why. Index strategy, the same. Disbursements, we're not taking any. I usually leave it at level for these type of solves because the client knows what death benefit they want, or we figure out which death benefit they want, and we leave it at that. So I'm actually done. If I want to, like I said, solve for and do only 20 years of premium payments, my premium payments will be higher than if I paid the rest of my life, but I will pay a shorter duration of time. So I'm going to hit calculate here. Now, this can work in some scenarios where the margin is very thin. This doesn't work in other scenarios. Say you have like an 80-year-old who's trying to do that, and the all pay would make more sense. Again, think about it mathematically speaking. Uh, how long people are going to live. If you can front load with a 20 pay, it's going to cost more, but you pay less in the long run. But if the client dies in those 20 years, they technically, quote unquote, overpaid because they paid more than what an all pay would cost. But statistically speaking, most people, the average lifespan is, 78 to 82. So we'll just wait 1 second here as this finishes calculating the other option. Again, we want to see the difference between the two. Okay. So all pay, I'm paying for 55 years. Short pay, I'm paying only for 20 years. It's really a $2,400 difference per year for 20 years. But let's see a couple things here. So I'm going to open this one up first. And again, this isn't a training on the product per se, but I'll go right to the money page. You'll see the cash does not build like it does in the other product. So after 10 years, you're still down. Okay. Cash is a secondary, death benefit is the primary. Golly, got these flies here. Um, but this product has a really cool feature. It has a return of premium option. So guaranteed 50% of what I put in at age 70 if I want to take the money and run, or I put 203 in, I get 203 out. So depending on the age, the premium funding into the policy, you might have a full ROP, you might have 40% of the death benefit, whichever is less in some scenarios. So 40% is obviously more than the full ROP here. So I get 203, 482 if I want to take my money and run and cancel the policy. But as you can see here, I've put 203 in. I should, with a 6.22 rate of return in the S&P, have more money. So if I actually cancel at this point, I should walk away with 228, some profit. So those who are looking at return of premium term, I would highly recommend looking at this instead, because yes, it will cost more than a return of premium term. However, you have living benefits and the option to keep it forever if you want to. Okay. So I said I want it done by 105. Voila, done by 105. Zeros afterwards. Fast forward, I go here to the 10,575. Okay. I stop paying at year 20. I have a full ROP by year 25. I have actually made more money, almost 100,000, over 100,000 more with doing a short pay because I'm putting more money in to let it compound and grow. And one thing I will overemphasize is some people will say, and this is typically coming from people who are hardcore for whole life. Look at this 0% column. Your policy is going to lapse at 87 and you did nothing. Well, the fact of the matter is your policy would have to do 0% for 36 years. And the company would have to start day one with guaranteed charges. No company has ever done that. Matter of fact, in 2008, no company went to guarantee charges. So when you look at these type of products, statistically speaking, we're required by law to show this, but this is more realistic. So for the naysayers, IULs have a life expectancy guarantee built in. Let's be honest, will most of us reach 86 even? Question mark. But if you've made any type of interest, you'll see the policy continues to collect and grow. So it should work the way it's supposed to. All things that people come in when it comes to their sales acumen. So when you see this, you just have to understand from your customer's perspective what makes the most sense. IULs versus, say, a whole life. A whole life gives you guarantees, three guarantees: premium, death benefit, and cash growth. Okay. But if you want some onus, some risk, the IULs can make more sense because there is some onus on the individual, understanding that it could lapse, that there's a potential, probably not more than likely, but there is a potential if you pick the wrong carrier and all the stars align in the wrong way. Um, but they are good products, just misunderstood and missold by a lot of people, sadly. Um, so so you can see there's different designs, and the cost of insurance are typically lower on an IUL versus a whole life because there's less guarantees, less onus on the company, more onus on the customer. Again, that's where the indices or indexes come into play. So that's kind of the deep dive. Any questions? I saw a few, in the chat. If anyone wants to, go off mute and ask a question too, you're more than welcome to.
Hey, Phil, I have a question.
What's up?
When you sit down with the client to show an illustration, I mean, do you go straight to the money page that like you call it, or do you start from the top? What are you doing?
I do
That's
not
gonna
go
be,
through. I don't go through 46 pages. Matter of
right.
fact, Raphael, I don't think you saw it, but cheap shameless plug. We did create this software called Docs to Video. Okay, and this
Yeah, yeah,
turns any. Yeah, you saw that.
yeah. I saw it briefly. Yeah,
Yeah. So what I would say is we've even modified it since the first time. So a video explainer here. So what do you want this video to do? So you can create the video with some type of analytics on how you want it set up. So let's just say, I want to explain the benefits of the IUL for accumulation for, God, I wish I could type today, purposes. And then I can upload the PDF, so upload file, and it will create a video. So I found that what I'm doing more often now is I'm creating a video. And the cool thing is let me just put one here so it'll go to the next page. Okay. So I hit next. It's going to compile it. And then what it'll say is like, hey, um, do you want a 30-second? Do you want a 4 minute? Do you want a 10 to 15-minute presentation? So you have the choice of how you want to have this set up. So you can, what I would say is send it to a customer first and be like, hey, watch this video. It'll give you some details. And then if you don't want to do that, then yes, I should have an educated conversation first on what we're looking at. So, Raphael, based on the conversation, I think you're looking for a death benefit focused product. I like this carrier because it gives living benefits, it has cash accumulation, and it has a strong guarantee. Let me show you how it works, and then go here and show the numbers. If you have an engineer, they go crazy for pages like this because it's data. But if you have some other people, they might like the pretty pictures first. So that's why I was saying something like this docs to video has been extremely helpful from that standpoint. Um, okay, so when will the docs to video be available to use? It's available today, so it's available right now. How much is it monthly for docs to video? Let me go back out and sign out for 1 second. Go to the main page. So we have it set up as, I believe it's $99 a month, if I recall correctly. Okay, never mind. There's credits. So $79 a month for Pro. If you want to start out for free, you get 2 short videos. What I would say is when you get started, referral code, just put in VFS. So that way they know you're with me. Um, and I'll put this in the link so you guys can take a gander at this goose.
that's nice.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, Aziz, if you had an issue with it, send me the issue and I'll report it to the tech guy, and you won't get charged for that. But yeah, these explainer videos, 25,000 credits is about 50 videos. As you can see here, depending on what you're looking to do, I mean, $30 a month for 10 videos is pretty solid, and it goes across multi organizations. So, Kathy talking to realtors, things like that, real estate, so many different aspects. You can take a PowerPoint deck and turn it into a video, which I did for a different thing. So ACSA is our organization for the athlete side. So we have a benefit package, and I created an explainer video at how it's set up. I won't play it, but here's the idea. You can see, there's stuff like that. So it's all different stages, but I just put a deck in, and it created everything for me. So highly recommend it as a helpful video again for those who are kind of learning the process and everything. um it didn't go through. I guess I cut it off too quickly. But yeah, if you went through, you could also edit the script. What it won't take away is hey, performance varies, so don't use this as gospel. Yes, you can do this for health too, Angel. So if you wanted to take a comparison, so say you had a spreadsheet that compared three carriers, you could throw it in there and say these are the differences between them. You can upload what you want to create explainer videos. You can add your brand, and stuff like that. So different ways to skin a cat, I would say. So there's been even some additional stuff here. So the more you guys use it too, the more enhancements we can add to it to make it even better and better. But yeah, just so we can coordinate together, just make sure on the referral code you put VFS, so that way they know, we are all, I guess, a team from that standpoint. But yeah, Aziz, if you had an issue with the Columbus doc, then send it over to me and I'll get with the developer. I'll copy you on it too. Yeah, Angel, for anything really. So if you wanted someone to explain the supplementals, the ancillaries, everything in a pretty picture, absolutely. So if you sell Manhattan and you want to take that big ass, information slide sheet and put it into something that explains how it works, that's what this does. So yeah, more to come with all this stuff. Again, the basic foundation today on the IUL side. I just want to give a deeper understanding with that. Didn't mean to go into the commercial for docs to video, but I do like it a lot. I think it adds a lot of value, especially for our industry with 46 pages. How do you simplify it, send it out? And oh, by the way, you get a text message or an email saying when someone actually watches the video. So you know exactly when someone watches it. So it's pretty creative from that standpoint too. You'll see there, you know. So with the CRM, that's a great question. Um, so, and I say this way too often, literally, yeah, thanks, Aziz. So, so we have pretty much everything done here. The last component is getting all the cases updated with the smart office tech on the back end here. Now, the CRM, what we have is there's two sides to what we offer. There is this side, which is the brokerage side. We also have our own affinity marketing group called Apex. Apex is designed to be, it is a multi-level, if you will. We call it affinity marketing group. But what it is it has it has a life side and it has a tech side. So there's some tech packages, but there is also a go high level CRM that's built into it too. So I'm working with the developer to see if I can get it on my side too. This is free to join, but this is a whole different animal. So I'll leave this for a separate conversation. But needless to say, is yes, I this this is pretty much done. The last thing is from Smart Office. So I want to make sure when the cases are in here, everyone can see their cases in a much easier platform and setup. And unfortunately, I have to deal with Zinnia and everything else. So it is free. to a certain extent. The MLM is free. Yes. There's no platform fees. There's no nothing. What I would encourage, if you guys are interested, and this would be something that I will I will say this is my sales pitch for you as to why you could possibly do this as an additional value add. Okay, so bear with me here for 1 second. You pay extra for email and text automation. Well, that's what I was going to get to. Okay, so there are things. There's two sides to this. Okay, there is a MLM for the life side. There's an MLM for the tech side. So everybody on this call, stick with your life side. You already have it set up. Let's keep it status quo. But what I will say is a typical go high level package is $97 a month. Okay. So what we have is this pulse flow. Pulse flow is that CRM, the go high level CRM, an email marketing campaign, SMS campaigns, and social media. They'll do 60 social media posts a day, or excuse me, a month. They will do 4 email campaigns. It will have the go high level piece in it. And normally it's $150 a month retail. But if you join Apex, the first month is $40, and then you pay $129 per month after that. Now, here's the trick. Okay. A go high level account is $97 typically. You pay $129, but you get a commission on your own pulse flow sale, right around the tune of $29. No, excuse me, 30 some odd dollars. Let me see. Tech ladder. I'll talk about the bonuses and all the extra stuff right now. Where is it? I'll find it. It comes out to actually be cheaper than buying Go High Level by itself because of the fact that you're paying for it and you're getting a commission on your own sale. It will actually come out cheaper than if you bought Go High Level. Plus, you'll get AI, social media posts, marketing, and a CRM built in. If you want to look at it, again, free to sign up. Take a gander here, and it brings you to the website that has all the information in here to talk about it. So if you want to look at products itself, the products is the AI side. So Pulse products, Pulse Flow, normally 149, but if you buy it as a member, it's 129. These are some of the templates you get. You get 5 landing pages as well. You get landing pages, you get social media posts, 60 among 5 platforms, hashtag generators, video posts, email campaigns, 4 emails per month, 25 templates, AI videos. That's where you start getting up. And this is funny because, and Aziz saw this, we had our guy who runs the company basically speak in English, and it translated to Mandarin, French, and Spanish, and it looks seamless. So that's more if you get, into the Pulse command, 150 avatars, unlimited websites, landing pages, things like that. But if you want Go High Level, I can give you Go High Level plus a digital marketer for the price of Go High Level. So I would say it's worth it. You can sign up now, Aziz. Yes, Fatima, it can help with the website. So it can create a whole new website for you if you want it. That's what the landing pages are. Or it can help from modifying your personal website. We can talk about that. That's not a problem. So if you guys wanted to, that link I just put in the signature, all you have to do is hit sign up. If you want it as a business, you put business, company legal name, what type of business it is. If you want it set up as a personal, you can do it as individual, phone number, mailing address, and everything, and social for tax purposes, things like that. So yes, you can sign up right now, and it's ready to rock and roll. When you say, can we add mess or business, what do you mean?
Like like life insurance, business, and all that too. Can we add our health insurance in there too?
1000%. Like I said, 5 landing pages. So, like if you think of Valor's verticals, we have life, health, commercial, advisory. So I can create multiple verticals in landing pages. Um, so yeah. So yes, you can. You can create a whole landing page just for health. Um, And Angel, it can either help build your website or replace it. So you would still get a domain from GoDaddy, and then they would basically upload the rest of it to your GoDaddy account. So it's like 120 a year for GoDaddy. But I think I don't remember. But yeah, you can it'll build it out and then upload to your domain so you can have it all set up. Um, that creates funnel pages, creates people coming to your site. Again, this affinity marketing group is free. Now you can then also recruit to it. And if you have downline agents who want to sell tech packages as well, then you get overrides off of their overrides. Yeah, Angel, this would probably work very well for you, in my opinion. I think it's worth it, to be honest, again, uh, given everything that we have in there. Go ahead, Kathy. You had a question?
Does it actually create the content for the email marketing and the social media post, or is that something
Yes, it
that?
does.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. Okay,
yeah. So basically, what happens is you have you build a brand portfolio, a brand profile, right? Once you create the brand profile, we use Argent AI technology, so it actually learns from everything and then starts to make your posts even smarter. It will ask you before it sends it. It's not going to just throw stuff out there and be like, I took over Kathy's business. But you can modify it if you need to. But yes, it'll create the post for you.
great. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, the free one. So like Angel, the free one is basically like, good luck. Here's a site to put your stuff in. When you do the 150, which if you join Apex, it's 129 a month. It's and again, you get commission off your own sale. Then all of a sudden, you'll have all the extra abilities to get the social media attached to it and all the other stuff. Yes, we do CRM trainings for it as well, 100%. So we literally started Apex 28 days ago. So the beauty of it is it's going to continue to grow. And when you think about different services, someone pitched us to a dojo. The dojo then pitched it to 200 other dojos in their group, and agents looking at probably about 10,000 recurring revenue per month if they all pick it up. So they went with the Pulse command, but yeah, there's definite opportunity here for sure. So I'm sorry we dovetailed, but seemed appropriate. Um, does the free one come with for newbies while building a book of business? What I would say is you get the Go High Level account. Um, I would say if it's free, it's just going to be like, here's the account. Good luck, because we're giving you the account. But we can talk about that. We'll sidebar that conversation. Um, all right, we'll talk about that later, Angel. So, um, I'll let you guys go though. I'm sweating my keister off here in humid Florida. So, if I don't talk to you, have a great weekend. I'll be back home next week. So, look forward to that, and we'll talk soon. All right.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Yep. Bye.